All right, everybody. Hey, guess what? It is Saturday, August 15th, 2020. And this is Natural Kilter. That's right. I am wearing a kilt, all natural. Ed, why don't you take it away?
All right, thank you. Well, thank everybody for joining us again tonight. Been an interesting journey here the last few months over what's going on. Before we get into tonight's stuff, I'm getting ready to go back into the hospital again. It's either my heart or my dental. Because they're telling me I have 12 teeth that need to be pulled. And so, plus besides the heart condition I got and everything else that people are aware of. But it's got to the point where, bluntly, I just can't walk far. I can't breathe well, and so that's just the way it is. So, anyhow, I already knew what was happening, so. But tonight I want to get into dealing with child support and the Indian Native treaties. Now, I've been passing this stuff out, and I guess people are getting it. And you got to remember, all these Indians have been so convinced, that they are to be their own tribe. They forgot that how to be one. People keep talking about the white man and white power. Or Black Lives Matter bullshit. Black Lives Matter, okay. Yeah, there's another racist organization of the KKK. Think about it, folks. What about the native lives? The foreigners came from foreign countries and slaughtered over 100 million of us. And that's acceptable by you. That's the Christian thing, as they say. Christians were all involved in that. We're going to come to your territory and take over, right? All religion. Not just Christian. It's any religion. They don't come in honor. They don't come into your house. They don't honor you. They didn't want to tell you about their God and tell you how to live. There's a frustration we live today. And it's a disgrace. When it really comes down to it, it's a disgrace the way we're living with this. I'm watching the deal going on in Portland, Oregon, other cities. Being shot up and playing all these political games. And you talk to these groups and nobody gives a shit. Oh, I'm for life matters. I think the kids should do this and the kids should have that. Well then, how about standing up for the kids instead of your 501c3? Because if you can't make a living, you're supposed to sit there and make crafts. You're supposed to collect rainwater, grow food. The natives are not even natives anymore. But they're getting it. They're slowly coming back. But people have to comprehend what the real world is. It's like everybody keeps going, I'm going to court. Whose court? Why is there a court? And what court are you going to? Because if you think about it, you're going to God's court of a foreign government called the British government. And it hasn't changed. The Bar Association is still the Bar Association of England. That is still running, controlled by Parliament. I keep having people go, no, Ed, you don't get it. I'm going, shit, I put the law out. I've got the history. You go to a London bar. Just type in London bar. Type in your state of London bar and see what their EIN number is. Oh, might be a reality check there, huh? See, everybody keeps saying this doesn't get it. So before I get into this, we have a letter dealing with the guaranteed Article 3 courts, but it's knowing how to get into an Article 3 court and realizing that you have to go through Washington, D.C. and file in Philadelphia. We have that. Every bar member to the bar, aka attorney, judge, whatever, they're all foreign agents. They all are registered in downtown London. We have the links. We're getting it out there. And the King and Queen of Britain is the owner of the bar, and I have this link that we can put up, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel, and anybody sends their email, I'll send you this research I've done this week. I mean, you can prove it. I've gone through it and typed all the way to to the Parliament in London, and, you know, it was interesting, some of the stuff. You know. The people say, oh, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a member of the Queen of England. Yeah, tell that to Marianne O'Connor, who resigned as the Supreme Court Justice. He came out and finally admitted the truth after 45 years on the bar. So, and then all these people says, oh, my lawyer's going to get my kid out. I keep talking to people all the time about this shit. And then they call back up, well, you know, the lawyer did this. I said, I already told you what the lawyer was going to do. Don't waste my time anymore. Because do you want to start writing the criminal charges and do something about it? Or are you just going to go back and whine and go back in a situation? You know, but these people are terrified to educate themselves, because if they educate themselves, that's going to be a point where, oh shit, I really got to stand up for my child. So we have the information on this, and to go through the bar, we have the channels. I can get that email to you. You know, it's like, and that is still accreditation to the King and Queen of England. And we do have the structure with the structure that was done with the ratification of the Constitution. We have the Indian treaties. I'll get into that in a minute, but I want to go through a few more things on this child stuff. You know, you guys got to look at Penal Code 424 PC. Misappropriation of public funds. So if they're coming after you to make you pay for something that's not yours, because remember, if they send it to you in the mail, that's mail fraud, that's extortion and theft by mail. So, I mean, and that's the one thing that you want to make sure that you can do. Have these options open to you. Because if you don't have these options and comprehend the legal system, see, remember, legal is British government. It is not an American corporation. And once you guys comprehend Title 18.3002, and then Title 8 U.S.C. 8 and Section 352, you guys will start learning the history, because the British government is the federal government. Not an American government. Trump is the president of the corporation of the contract of the British government of 1866. So come to reality here, folks. Learn this real truth. You know, that's the one thing. And misappropriation of funds. You go after one, misappropriation of funds, because when they're paying a district attorney, state attorney general, that's paying out of public funds. And so you're having a public employees going after for personal and financial gain and using public funds for your personal and financial gain. And that's a crime too. So when they come after you, you want to make sure to clarify that you don't know what they're talking about. And remember, all their false accounts are already destroyed. Appropriation funds without authority. And remember, they do loan money back and forth to the agencies. Everybody knows that. They hear about that in the media, transfers of funds. So that could be public funds identity theft as well as public fund theft. You know, so this is where it comes down to the circumstances, like in Florida. Misappropriation of funds. There's a misappropriation of funds, and I have the link. We sent it out. I have some of the codes, the statute codes of Florida on that. Is SS 68801, 001, and then that's 888 through 009. And remember, see, you're talking transfer of funds too. Because when they do it, when they transfer a kid, I'll get into that here in a minute, that's other funds that are being used. So, and don't forget, that's misappropriated of funds being charged and statute of public funding. And that comes under the trust of a public officer, an executor, decrease of a person's estate. So remember, they're considering the man or woman or child the person. A person does not exist. If you're a person, we don't want nothing to do with you. Because that means that you're a British Queen slave and you do what you're told and you don't care about the general public. You know, unless you're a public employee that's standing up and honoring your constitutional oath, hey, that's a wonderful thing. But if you're not, you know, that needs to be appropriately dealt with by the general public. You know, we got this terrorist that's running for vice president with Joe Biden. First generation immigrant. And I'm putting that together because by law she can't even run for office. Yahoo, all these agencies are putting it up. And they're just going, oh, they're saying that these people, you know, who are telling all this stuff about the Constitution, they're just against her. Yeah, we're against having our country taken over by domestic terrorists. I don't have rights. I can't come into your house and tell you how to live. Put my flag in the middle of my war flag in the middle of your house. And remember, it's a war flag, folks. That flag that people fly in their front yard, that's a war flag. It's not a peace flag. It's not a native flag. Come on, computer. I hate it when it locks up on me. It's been doing this like this a lot lately. So, and like I said, misappropriation of public funds. Now that goes from your city, when any public servant's involved, your county, with anybody who was involved filing, the district attorney, public funding, filing, you know, torts, whatever it was. And remember, torts can only be filed by a Native American. You cannot file that structure if you are a public employee. That's actually a federal crime. And see, this is the whole point of getting these things out. It's like, you know, here's the other point that people should pay attention to. It's called 26 U.S.C. Code A3. Property transfer of connection with performance standards. So that means when you get transferred with your driver's license to a jail or anything, a kid gets transferred in the hospital, you have to file all these paperwork, so they have to bill everything that's being done. So every time that piece of paper is being stamped and passed along, they're billing everybody along the way. And see, that's the problem that we have so far that is just driving us nuts, because people are going, well, how do we solve the issue? Well, it's simple. Knowing your standing, if you're lawful or legal. And all these people say, immigrants have rights. They don't have a right, because I don't have the right to come in your home and eat your food, tell you how to live. Okay? I'm not your God, and I'm not your king. And your God is your God. My God is my God. I don't have to get into whom, what, why, my God is better than your God, or your God is better than my God. I mean, hello, be an adult, kids. So I've got to find something here. I wanted to get into, don't forget, 28 U.S.C. 3002. Clearly states, all right, clearly states that all the income that's taken into the corporation by court system is supposed to go to we the Native people. That's what it actually says. You know, and that's the one thing that people keep going. I had an argument with somebody about Native going back to the 14th Amendment. And I said, you got to remember, when the Congress walked out, the South walked out of Congress. The South didn't want a government of freedom. They wanted still slave ownership. They wanted to still have their block of ownership. The North said, no, we want free. You know, we are Native people. We're not going to sit there and pay your taxes and pay this stuff. And the South said, yes, you're going to pay it, and we're going to force you. And so that's why the Civil War really happened. Come on, it's like, come on, people, learn real history. I know they lie in all the books that are going around our country. We know how bad they lie. You know, that is the one thing, that they are such horrific liars. And we know this. And so they do it today. You know, I mean, I just went through, you know, a local election, and I got people out there that are going through on me, you know, with the crazy stuff, that they're listening to these public employees who made false police reports on me. It's like Nancy Pelosi says, make lies, they'll stick. And that's what these people do. You know, but it takes the republic and people who care to stand up. Judges are not immune for any prosecution. All right? Judges were giving authority under the Constitution, but us two judges are supposed to be not a judge in a courtroom. He's supposed to be the mediator for a jury trial. And you can file for a jury trial, and it's still supposed to be $20. But at that time was $20 gold piece. So, and that's the one thing people don't realize. If you pay in gold and silver, those standards still exist. But your system does not want you to know this fact. Because if you knew this fact, you wouldn't have half the standing that you have. See, this is the one thing that people don't want you to know these things. And see, this is, I mean, we're going through this major problem with these structures that are going on. And people are not paying attention. You know, so, I mean, and that's the one thing. I still got more that I'm going to be putting up on the website on both sides of this coin. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, people start reading this stuff, because you need to save it. Because I don't know what's going to happen to me, you know. Like I said, I've already died 13 times. So, whatever, you know. And it's just life. You know, what can I do? You know, so it's just one of those things. So, but I do plan on, you know, getting more going on in this community and stuff. And remember, admiralty laws are not your friends. The republic is your friends. The democratic democracy is your downfall. And so when you start comprehending this stuff, you know, and then we got this stuff with this bullshit with this coronavirus, that is SARS, that we brought up to put panic and paranoia. We put this video up, and we got tagged for it, it must have been 3 years ago. The producer remembers that. Because they did this bill where we can't tell you what's going to happen. When they did this bill and passed this bill, we can't tell you, we can't read it until after we pass it. That's the bill that Nancy Pelosi was talking about, so famous in her speeches about. And that was the one to take your authority away and put you back as a child and let you file ownership. And if you read the administrative rules and stuff I've been putting up, if you don't file the application to claim ownership of you, that's what the law says. We're talking law of their statute. Says this. So if you don't file ownership of you, they still do whatever they want. You know, that's the whole point. You know, I'm glad I had, you know, the structure is because natives are supposed to take care of themselves. They can wrap their own bodies, go burn it on the beach in the forest and all this stuff. But, you know, it's amazing because men and women ain't men and women anymore. They're little scared little children. They're all little baby children. You know, there's very few men and women. I mean, I listen to the elders talk about some of the stuff they used to do, and I can't believe the kids are afraid to do that or even talk about it. So this is the one problem we have, and this goes back to the structure on both sides of the coin. This goes back to child support as well as your native rights. Now, police departments are nonprofit agencies. Excuse me. And it's so valid that you print this stuff out and save it. So valid when you talk in this language. When they start saying, you know, you were, you know, arrested, you know, no, I was kidnapped and held for ransom. Where's the injured party? Where's the corpus delicti? You know, that's the one thing. You know, and that's the one thing. A woman cannot claim I'm a corpus delicti because the man had sex with me. The woman wanted sex. She opened her legs. She had sex. I'm not talking about a woman who's raped. I'm talking about a woman who wanted it. And then goes, oh, I'm going to go after the man for child support. You can't go after the man for what you wanted. You wanted it. You wanted the responsibility. Yeah, I know. I wrote a manifesto on how to sue women. I did that 12 years ago. Tried to get that put in the house and Senate. Everybody panicked. Because women can sue men left and right. Why can't a man sue a woman for lying? She makes a false police report. Why can't he sue her and put her in prison for it? He goes to jail, but she doesn't? That's not right. No, I mean, if they want equality, I'm going to be an equal voter. I want my rights. If you want equality, then you have to deal with equality. You can't sit there and go, wham, wham, wham. Or as somebody I know that would call it a whambulance. You know, go call your whambulance. So that's the one thing, you always want to challenge a judge. So when you're getting these child support threats and you're getting this stuff, because remember, that's mail fraud. You have to write these things up. You have to look this stuff in your state. You have to look it up the federal laws. I've got some of them up. I'm trying to get more of them done. But I recommend that you at least read the memorandums of these things. You don't have to sit there and read the 400 or 500 pages of the decision. And remember, decisions could always be overturned because it was a decision doesn't mean it was factual. See, new evidence could be introduced at any time. And that includes a child support case or even, with your rights to prove your lawful bloodline native. And remember, because an artificial identities cannot take an oath and they cannot make affidavits. So that's what I'm saying, as a police officer or somebody that takes an oath, and so that way they're going under Title 8, so that means they're going under the Constitution. So if they violate the Constitution, that's an artificial person making a threat, so a person could go to prison for doing that. That's why I won't use the word person. I'm a living man or woman. Okay, I meant words are so apparent. Remember, you want to challenge under 22 U.S.C. 611 as a foreign agent, because that judge under 22 U.S.C. is a foreign agent working in this country with contract of 1866 with the British government and the Vatican. And once you realize that your Roman Catholic Church runs, and all your religions run your police department, your judges, and all that stuff, because that's all of their capacity. They're no different. So that's the one thing that people don't comprehend. Like the other point, the government agency cannot demand your Social Security number. Oh, what is that? They actually have a federal law on that. That means when somebody, your employee, and remember, if you're getting a job, that's a government agency too, because they're getting tax write-offs. So you got to learn what a public and private job is. You know, if you're a public job, you pay checks. If you're private, you pay cash or gold, silver. See, it's learning the separation of the real world compared to what people think it is. Right now, we're running on the de facto debt note. Now, that's the one thing that in next election, Trump wants to get back to the real dollars, so that way this country can run on real dollars. So that way the de facto notes cannot be, what is that? What do I call that? Forfeited or, not forfeited, I mean forged. So it's harder to copy on paperwork for a legal note versus a corporation note. Because a legal note has to use hemp paperwork. But, oh, that's right. People don't read a real history. Oh, shit, that'd be a hell of a deal for the hemp industry, wouldn't it? And then with the excess, oh, that's right. You drain that off, and you could actually run that for fuel to run your vehicles. Your covered wagon. So remember, it comes down to 28 U.S.C. 372. To have an oath of office. And you want to file with this number, U28 U.S. 7372, that you want a original certified copy, wet ink copy of their oath. If it's stamped, you have to write back and say you can't accept it because it's not a real document. See, it's comprehending and knowing the difference of a real document compared to a forged document that you're working with child support or you're working as your bloodline in your country. Because this lady coming out, I'm running for vice president. Anybody who knows this crazy nut in California, I mean, she even had people put in jail for truancy for their own children. And some of those kids were put in jail because they were sick at home, and they were proven sick at home, but she don't care. She's got to make that money. Remember, she's a foreigner. She is not American. She might have been born on this country, but she wasn't bled on this soil per se. Her family didn't bleed for generations. She has no rights. Read your treaties. I put the treaty laws up. It says it in the treaty, and that's part of the Constitution filing in the very first court case in history, and the first Supreme Court case of the American real court system, 1870 or 1879, or 1779, excuse me, 1779. And I posted that, and I put that up on the website. And that's what I'm saying. It's so apparent that you save this stuff and read this stuff and talk about it with your friends and neighbors. Turn off the TV. If you want to stop this bullshit of this lootering and crazy shit, that means you have to file the criminal charges on the public employee. You know, the lady that came in and said, oh, you don't want to take your kid because you were a bad mommy or daddy. So you want to file criminal charges on her, you want to file criminal charges on the clerk that was involved who stamped the paperwork, who fraudulently did that because there was no grand jury warrant. A judge cannot sign a warrant. Only a grand jury can. And see, and this is the other thing where it comes into people need to know with their Social Security number. You know, this comes with the Federal Funds Act. And this goes with the Authorization Act of 2000. Oh, who was the president then? Terrorist Obama, 42 U.S.C. 408, and the penalties. See, Obama tried to lift the penalties for immigrant workers and all that, but he couldn't do that because of the native treaties. So they figured if that's why Joe Biden and his Harris and all this, because they don't want to lose all their power and what all they've passed for their terrorists to come over. These people look at their campaigns, who bought their campaigns and paid for them. People are putting up this stuff left and right on the internet. Pay attention. Because it's your fault if this country is lost. So if you have to get shot, then you have to get shot. So that's the point, that you don't want to get shot. Neither do I. Nobody else wants to get shot. So learn this stuff so that way you fight them with the paper. You know, you file on the cop, but you have to file in Washington, D. Type in Washington, D.C., Section 8 of the D.C. Code. District of Columbia that pays their salaries. See, it's so apparent to learn the path and the trace of where this comes from. And you got these other groups that will tell you, oh, these people have these rights and all this stuff, and they do not. See, and that's the one thing. They're all nonprofit agencies. We're not a nonprofit. If you want to help out, you know, you send an email. We can always use, you know, backup computers, backup flash drives, you know, stuff like that. You know where to send them. You know, and if you do send them, I can always send it to the producer, too. We can make sure things happen. But see, we're not out here handing a handout because, shit, you guys, you know, either you're going to do something about it or you're not. You know, I go plead and go pay the Queen of England her taxes and her deal on my soil. I'm not going to go pay the privilege of living on my soil. So, and I'm going through this, and this is the point, because they know I filed my paperwork on my taxes and a few other things that I filed, and I know that these people were panicking when I filed the structure of the birth certificate bond. And if you haven't read what I filed on the birth certificate bond and the UCC codes, as well as, what is that, the EMJ utility on the birth certificate bonds and how to print up your birth certificate and who's training you on your birth certificate. You know, and the other point is when you do your instruments, always put clean hands document. Always put Portage, P-E-O-N-A-G-E. You always put both of those in that statement. You're going with clean hands. You know that they're not. That's why you're backing it up with this statement. You know, and that is called the 2483US16-36, and this is 1873. Important case. So, I mean, and that's the one thing that people got to realize. Alaska and Hawaii are not part of we the people. Alaska is still technically no man's land. And the other point is that Hawaii still flies the British Jack flag. Come on, go type it in. 1820 or 1868. The Queen of England owns the British Isles. Owns the Hawaiian Isles. Owns Australia and all that. Why do they fly that flag? Come on. You know, and you think those people are going to help you? Remember, there is no difference from you. They want to save their ass first. See, that's the problem. Everybody wants to save their ass first. So judges are not immune for criminal sanctions under Civil Rights Act, ex parte, Virginia. This is 1879. This is right after the Civil War was going on. And see, this is the point, and this is U.S.C. 339, Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, and no shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Individuals to the right of contract is unlimited, and no state may interfere with the contract. So if you're getting married, divorced, you have a kid problem, write yourself a contract with you and the party. If you have to go through meetings with friends, do it, but do it that way, so you stay out of the bullshit. See, this is the state that want to bring you in, and this goes with child support. You know, it's like, who knows and who says that you owe the child support? The state got paid the child support. They already took it off the kid's Social Security number under the Title IV Act of the, William Jefferson Clinton passed the Title IV when he was president. So they're already getting Title IV money for the kid through the state anyways, and that does not matter if the kid is in your custody or the state's custody. And remember, like, the state is still part of the British government. See, that's the one thing, and everybody keeps going, Ed, you're so hard on this, and you don't know. And I'm going, I read the history books, I read the laws, I go to the emails to Parliament and to Scotland and Ireland, and I talk to people around the world, you know. So, I mean, when people try to tell me that, you know, you don't know what's going on, see, that's the problem. You're not sitting around talking to these people. I don't sit there and play, you know, games and, you know, have social hour with a TV. You know, I write this stuff and I have conversations with people, and people know that because I talk to people all over time. Hundreds of people. So, it really comes down to, what are you going to do? So, and that's the one thing that we want to get into this structure so we don't have these problems going on. Because we want to make sure that you don't have the problem and the kids don't have the problem, you know, and if you don't want to deal with, you know, that type of situation, that's your business. And then when a kid comes to wants to say hi, then that's up to you to deal with it. You know, shit, my father wasn't part of my life. I never whined and cried and said, oh, boo-boo me. You know, these people try to do that shit to you. You know. That is the problem, that these psychologists and these Democrats and these teachers, oh, you didn't have a daddy growing up. Wasn't that hard? Like, what are you, mentally prepared for bullshit? See, that's the one thing you got to realize. These people are bullshit. You know? So that's the point. It's up to you to come to these points. You know? See, and that's the point. Nobody's getting this structure. You know, you're not fighting for your rights if you're not reading and comprehending these laws. See? And people go, it's the law. No, it's a statute. Explain the difference when you talk on your talk shows and you talk to people. I mean, I get people all the time say, that's the law. And I was like, that's not the law. It's a statute. City code ordinance. They have no authority. You know? I fought my city, my county. Still fought them. So, I mean, you know, they try to throw me on my soil and I'm still here. You know, they try to take me out, I'm still here. So that's the best part about it, is standing for your rights. And when you call yourself a citizen, you're calling, or national, you're calling yourself an enemy to the native people. What the law says. Type in national and citizens. It will come up. See, that's the one thing. This stuff does come up and people don't get it. But you're missing out because you're not fighting for your rights. See, the kids need to know that their rights are being taught, and if they're not getting it taught in school, that means you have to teach them. Yes, what a concept that is. It's called responsibility. So, but the judges are not immune. We want to make sure that people comprehend this one. The clerks are not immune. All right, these people are not immune to their duty because they took a public service job. And let's make it clear to everybody, the police department is not there to protect you. That's not their job, is to protect you. Their job is to be, what do they call that? What do they call that? They got to raise taxes, and the revenue collectors. So, and that's the one thing that you don't get. All these people of the government are revenue collectors for the British corporation. And people say, oh, quit going on in the British. Prove me wrong. I got the treaties. I've got the structure. I even got the structure from the Queen of England with her personal stamp on it. You know, that says, oh, that's right, the Indian nation is not part of we the people. See, that is one thing, is that knowing what the government has done to you. Comprehending, and people go, well, we're the government. Well, prove you're the government. Stand up and make sure that these public employees get prison. Because the only one who can write the criminal complaints, and everybody keeps going, I'm waiting for the DA to do it. Wake up. Are you an adult? The only one who can do this is Native Americans, because your public employees cannot make a criminal affidavit. And that's the one thing that you got to make sure. You know, I'm in a criminal affidavit. And see, that's the one thing I posted up, and this just popped up. I posted up on the YouTube channel. And, you know, this son disrespecting his father, killing him off and all this stuff. Mom videotaped it. You know, a kid ever did that to me like that, that meant that he would have been laid on the floor. And the kid's going, call the cops, call the cops. You know, and it's like, you know, I mean, I just laid him out. Throw his ass out in the street. And let him go call the cops. And then say, hey, the kid threatened me and assaulted me, so I had to throw him out of the house to protect myself. You know, and then the other point, I want to make clear that you get this in the state of Oregon. Rent mortgage cancellations. There's a postponed draft right now. They want to make sure that, oh, you lose your home to the state. All right? I'm making this bluntly clear to you folks. The queen bitch that calls herself Kate Brown is going after your property to give to the goddamn Chinese to move them in this country because they made a deal. That includes each and every your congressmen and senators did the same thing. You know, and everybody keeps going, oh, these people, bullshit, man, wake up. You know, I mean, I spent 40 years in and out of government. Now the cancellation of rent and mortgage means additional 12 months that people don't have to pay rent, so that way they can foreclose on people's homes. Hello? I mean, this is reality, you know, rape, rob, and pillage. That's all about the Democratic Party and religion. You know, you got to do that to keep that religion going, the fear of religion. So, I mean, and that's a frustrating point. We are living in this crazy shit today. You know, and I just put that up on my Facebook pages and on my front page of Facebook page, and go read that in the state of Oregon. You know, and then I put the other structure of canon law with the Gillettes, and this goes on your W-9 form. You know, put up the deal where Judicial Branch of Louisiana filed their tax forms. See, and you got to ask these things from these people, these public employees from the court system. You want to see the income that they got from the court system, how much they got the income for the child, how much they got income from the attorneys, the lawyers. See, and you know, that's the one thing we're breaking down. That's what we're doing right now, is I'm putting this deal together with a couple people, and I want to get it more deal so we can put everything like I did part of the other stuff I said. So we can put all this stuff into one sheet. You go there, and we can put all the links in there. And then that way, here's how it works. Yes, it'll be hell of overwhelming. But once you start getting it, and you start doing that, and you start teaching your children when they're, 5 and 7 and 10, so when they're 15 years old, they know more, and they don't have to go through this shit. And the other point, too, I had fun with some people with ODF&W and a couple of these groups that call themselves salmon groups in the state of Oregon that sat out there and lied again. Oh, the salmon population increased. No, it didn't. We're 45% down in salmon population. That's why, what is the state doing right now? They're going to go let you hunt seals. So you can go get a seal permit. No shit. Of course, I supported that 20 years ago when we were doing that, and I was in the Republican Party that was bringing it up, and I don't have a problem doing that. It's the food resources. The other point comes up. Oh, that's right, you can make oil out of it. There's a lot of stuff you can make out of seal blubber and seal stuff. So, it's another food resource. We can't get upset because you want to eat cadaver meat. Type in the United States restaurant serving cadaver meat. Trust me, it'll come up. So Hanford is still leaking, poisoning the rivers and the system all through Portland and the water system going down. So, and that's one thing, radioactive is still up there. They got the Gallagher counters. They got people that actually walk around, And this is the one thing, that this stuff was already designed to fail so they could keep jobs going. This way they could keep medical going, because then this way they know how the birth certificate funding works, so they can keep their jobs going. All right, fine. Use our Social Security number. Make your money, but don't forget, we're supposed to pay our water, electricity bill, and take care of us, too. Immigrants don't have a right. They don't get born in this country with that, and that goes back to the Civil War. Read your paperwork that's been filed in Congress. And, I filed this paperwork up and all over the place. So, and always send me emails and ask me for it, because I'll send it to you. And then also, too, on electricity, now California is shutting down electricity grids. I want you to comprehend, they're shutting down electricity grids. So that means the disabled and elderly, and right now in California, they got an average of 100 to 108 degree weather. So, that's right, you got no air conditioning, you got no fans, you got nothing, 108 degrees. Hey. Let the kids die and the elderly die. People don't come to reality. They can't live reality. So that is Executive Order 13920. And I went through some of this other executive order, and the original one that Trump just did to get back to the people. The original one was done by, what was that man president? Oh, that was Vice President Joe Biden and Obama, and they had it set up in 2000 when that one passed through, so that way they could do the utilities deal that they're doing throughout the country right now, so they could, to create more money. Because remember, if a military officer dies in the field, he's worth $30 million to the military. That's the insurance they take out of them on. Each and every military man gets a $30 million insurance bond on them. And then the other point that we were able to get up, and if you go to the Facebook sites, and we'll try to get this out if you send me your email, we've got the deal from the state breakdown on the federal aid on COVID-19, SARS virus. Remember, we did have some doctors come out and tell the truth. And so that's the one thing that I want to bring to your attention, that non-resident Indian, it doesn't mean Indian over across the seas, we're talking us, of Indian origin, okay, we're not to pay taxes, we have this stuff done, so we're not to be in the system by our paperwork. We can still file it in the system because they have to honor it. And see, that's the point, getting your servants to honor their own paperwork. That's the problem we're having. So anyhow, I wanted to make sure that we got into this. I wanted to get that we got into a few of these topics tonight. I'll get it out. Like I said, I will be back next Saturday, but I will be up north. It's going to be hotter than hell unless the Creator blesses us up there with 65-degree weather. That'd be a nice change. And then you can bring it on down here to the coast. I'll let the coast suffer, then that way I go up there and, be up there in peace. But, 100-degree weather is going to be tough. So, and in the history lesson of the Social Security number I put up, I want you to pay attention to that. And then that's the other point, too, with the COVID virus, 70% to 80% of the tests they're doing coming back negative and false results. So, and there's false results. So, and we've got some of the videos up there. I even got a law professor out there, confessing to legal parenthood, how the state owns your child. And I put that stuff up. So, if you don't file to own you, and then when your child gets old enough at 18, they'll teach him how or her how to own her or him, you've done a total disrespect to that child. And then I like to see this stuff taught in every school. I like to, getting something going where we can do this thing, once a week or twice a week, We get online doing this study session. So, but anyhow, those are things that are going through my mind at this point, bringing up on the structure of the taxes. And remember, I will try to be getting that filed. I got to get that finished filed because I was supposed to get that done, but I've been on too many other projects here lately. Because I got to get that on my soil. Because the Oregon State Treaty with the British government again says we are not to pay taxes, and that British government treaty has never been altered or changed. So it's still the law of the land, not the statute and code. Knowing what the statute code and administrative rules of 1940 when they applied that in 1940 administrative rules. And put in, you can even go and do your research. National 1940 Administrative Rules. You'll see, you'll be amazed who actually runs it. So with that, let's go ahead and open up the floor. Let's see what we got this week. And so, anyhow.
All right, I'll get that opening for you.
All participants are unmuted.
Anybody? Hello, anybody like to add anything? Okay. Well, I thought we had a few people on a deal, but... Okay, nobody wants to speak?
Yeah, Ed?
Yeah, floor's open.
The Civil War was fought over states' rights. It wasn't over slavery. Slavery was another issue.
Yeah, I do know that, and that was over states that didn't want to pay taxes, too. A lot of states didn't want to pay taxes. You know that as well as I do.
Yep.
So, yeah, I know it wasn't all over slavery, but we're still living a slavery structure that people are not even paying attention. They're still a slave. You go to work, you get paid. What do? You pay your taxes to the slave master that gave you the permission to work. Yeah, I know, I got it. I picked up on that one. God, when I did my contract, my first contract, when I had my first business with the city of Fairfax. So yeah, I know, I'm well aware of that. And that was the whole point, because the state wanted to have the rights. Now, the state rights today that they want is under democracy, so that way they get to tell you what laws that you can go by, and if you don't go by their administrative rules, they can take your house, throw you in jail, what they're doing today. You know, and that's what our forefathers fought, so we wouldn't be living in this hell that we're living right now. You know, I mean, kids being arrested for farting in classroom, people being arrested for not wearing a mask, people are being shot and killed and assaulted for not wearing a mask. And if you actually read the federal law, wearing a mask is a federal crime. You go to prison for wearing a mask because that's called a bank robber. I mean, we have so many conflicts of administrative rules, it's just amazing. And don't forget, you know, people need to know what a bank is. A bank is called the court. The judge is the banker. Unless you are in a constitutional court and the jury foreman is running the court. Why? They call it a jury foreman. But you got to remember, democracy has taken so much over control over your court system just in the last 60 years. You know, I watched the changes in the elections department. I mean, like I said, I ran for county commissioner. I ran as a lawful bloodline native, and he said, well, Ed, you have to file one of these. And I said, show me where the law says it. And they're going, well, Oregon administrative rules says that. I said, that's not a law. You know it, and I know it. Where's the law? So I ran on my ticket as a lawful bloodline native. And then that's always the point. I love it when they say it's a ticket when you're running for office. People don't get that. Still a ticket. They want you to pay something. So, I mean, your system was set up to take from you, not to give from you. Originally, it was set up to give back to you. And these bankers and these crooked politicians have, you know, destroyed the whole setting, taking it right around for themselves. So instead of me keep running and preaching, anybody else would like to add something?
Well, when you think about it, what they did was they actually took the money away from you that you're supposed to have for an inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's even what they promised in their little whatever, you know, world they live in. And
that's the problem, that we're not even taking care of our own kind.
Well, the interesting part of it is when you really get down to it, you know, they're asking for your bonds to give them your credit. Okay, but that's just it. You've got to figure out what you want to write in that contract because you should be getting something back. You know, they call it a gift. Okay, well, where's my gift? Not that you're supposed to expect one, according to their book, but, you know, my thought process is what happened to you, you're supposed to give. You know, so they're not giving, they're taking and taking.
Right. And that is the point. They're taking and taking and taking. And people don't...
The other one you was touching on, the marital dispute situations when it comes to divorce and whatnot. And right there in their own laws, it's under care and maintenance. What about care and maintenance for the children? Okay? And then since you put us in a certain situation by the way you worded things, you know, until you ask for the age of majority, you're still a child. Well, how are you taking care of that child? Do I have teeth in my head? Can I, you know, do I have food in my stomach? What exactly, how are you caring for me? You need to show me what you're talking about because, you know, just telling me about it doesn't, like, put facts and figures in my, you know, got a pie chart? You know, I mean...
Yeah. Well, don't forget that you got the Adoption Act that people don't realize that's what they go by because even if your child's not adopted, they bill it out in the Adoption Act.
Yeah.
I mean, they got these trust funds that are billing off of your Social Security funding that people have no concept of what the truth is.
No, we've actually proved that by going to the GMEI, and then you can back that up with the DTCC, which is the, you know, discount trading, whatever it is. And then you also have Fidelity Insurance, which you've been on that since you were a child because of the birth certificate. You know, it was really made to pay us for what our time was on this planet, you know, to have better lives. Instead, they decided they wanted to hang on to it, squander. It's just basically basic embezzlement. It really is.
Well, it is. That's how they're making their interest in living off of our ass. Assets?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Assets. You know? So,
well, word assets?
Well, remember they had that old saying, it was ass hats. So, you know, what can I say? You know, and it is really about revenue. You know, it's not anything complicated. It's just about revenue. Well, you know, okay, you're not showing me any books. You're not showing me any factors. When the original design was, they were bum rushed back in 33. They had less than a weekend. You know, come on. That's kind of like Pelosi going, oh, we'll just sign it right now. We'll figure it out later on.
But no, how many times people don't get it?
You know, you can't do that. And then when it comes back to the South rose up because they were disgusted because they knew the tariffs that were coming into the country would pay for the taxes, so they could not understand what was going on with the tax system, and nobody would explain it to them. Do they explain it to us now? Of course not, because it's their design. They want you to contract. You know, it's almost like there's no way out of it unless you do some kind of contract. So, and that's basically the bottom line of it. You know, if you're going to have to deal with them, you got to deal with them on their playing field, I guess. You know, I don't really like it. Nobody does, but, you know, it is what it is. If you're going to stand up, you got to stand up now. You know, otherwise we're losing every bit of this ground. Somebody else wants to take it. Ain't happening.
Well, that's why Kamala Harris is running, because under the immigration party, because Kate Brown and a lot of these people in California made agreements with China, and some of the stuff that they were shipping us in products, and we got all this so cheap, they were selling your stocks and bonds to these people to sell your homes to them.
Well, not only that, they were actually using the same bonds to buy.
Back.
Well, they were using the same bonds backed up so that they could get the shipping company, because they had to go through the Greek company.
Right.
The Greek shipping
company. And they transferred.
And you see, people haven't saw the slow climb of China, which, you know, they've bought up most of the shipping industry, and we're going through a shift right now. And, you know, I don't see the issues because everybody's going to make the money off the tariffs. They're really going to make good money off the tariffs the way this has been set up. And they're going on about...
Because we're paying too much on the tariffs when it comes down to it. Because why should I pay that much more tax to receive something?
Well, that's the whole idea, is what's behind the contracts. We really need to know what exactly is behind the treaties and what's behind the contracts.
Contracts of what, why, and how is going on, so that way we know that we're getting a fair deal out of it ourselves.
Well, we're not. We're not. The original design was set up for 75% for them, 25% for us. Okay, and seriously, that's not unreasonable. That's really not unreasonable. But
well, to me it is.
What's that?
To me it is, because that would not be unreasonable if they were paying me under my EMI number, because then that way I get, what, 12, probably, you know, let's just say $1 million a month. Now, that's reasonable.
Well, you know, that's the idea, is they've been here 528 years and they haven't paid the rent on the soil.
That's true.
They want to go by their rules, and then they force their rules upon us. And that's why, you know, the natives do kind of have an issue with this. Okay, it's not that we're being unruly. It's not that we're certainly not burning things to the ground. We're certainly not going out and killing people. You know, we're peaceful people. We come in peace. We just don't understand why you get
killed all the time. It's like, this is ridiculous.
Well, that's the idea. We're trying to figure out, if you go by your book, how is it you can murder innocent people and whatnot. You know, we're not trying to be, you know, killed. We're trying to just get along with everybody else, and you need to just kind of accept that. You know, I mean, I'm really sorry you don't like it. I'm sorry if it doesn't put a whole lot of, are gifts in your pocket, because that's really what it turns out to be.
Well,
they're
like it because we don't want them all coming to our planet our soil to eat our food, rape our women, destroy our crops, destroy our happiness and liveliness.
Well, and then that's the other one. People, you don't, everybody's all like, oh, well, we're starving this, that, and you're starving that. You're not. Right. But, they're starving, they're burying potatoes and they're burying vegetables and whatnot, and they're killing off the cattle, or they're bringing the price down. It's kind of a forced situation. It's not a choice situation anymore. And
right.
That's the idea, is that where's our choice here? We're not getting a choice, and even if you go by their situation, well, if you pay taxes, you have a voice. No, you don't. No, you don't. And it's really sad to say that. You might think you do, but you don't.
That's true.
Because, we've got these handheld items right now that you got your Twitter, you got your Facebook, you got whatever media out here available to you, okay, to be able
to... Wait a minute, you just said the major point. Available to you.
Yep. Everything is available to you. It's just a matter of you've got to let them know exactly who you are and basically say, look, I don't agree with certain things you're doing, okay? You knew this was set up as an inheritance situation when you created it. You did it without our knowledge. You didn't teach us about it. We had to learn it on our own. Then when we learned it on our own, you wanted to keep lying. Okay, let's stop with that. Let's, sit down at the table and say, look, let's get some things going here. I mean, people are starving out here. People don't have fresh water.
Oh, look at what's going on right now. How many shootouts are going across the country right now?
Well, that was done back in Italy and Greece when they shut the power off down there. You were talking about that earlier.
I know that. I'm talking about that's happening now because they shut off the power in California.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Within 7 to 10 days, you'll be killing each other over a loaf of bread. That's what happened. That's what the studies have shown every time they pulled this stuff in every other country. And it wasn't just Greece and Italy. It was Greece, Italy, Switzerland, Argentina, Iceland, but Argentina and Iceland arrested their bankers and threw them in the jail. Okay, so,
Because they had pictures of them on the polls.
And straight up, yeah, they filed the paperwork, but when they filed the paperwork, they came, they delivered, and the people arrested them. Not the government foes. It was the people backing that government in that country in order to get rid of them. They knew what it was doing, was bringing their countries down. It's the same thing here. It goes back to, like I said, if you actually watch a movie called El Primo El, which is the first king, it tells you about Romulus and Remus, okay, the brothers and what happened to them and how Rome, and at the end of the movie, it will show you how much Rome divided and conquered because of the way they knew how to handle certain things. And it's not just physical. It really is more of a mental situation.
Yeah, it is. Psychology warfare is what we're going through right now, too.
Well, and it's ironic we're mentioning that because I just got a video, literally I can't tell you, it was this morning when I got it. I found it, and it was actually posted up on Facebook, and it's actually sent by a friend. And it's a little over an hour and, 20 some odd minutes, maybe an hour and a half. But what it ended there, right in there, it tells you that what happened with the Obama administration was he went a little bit of amok, and what they did was they were selling information, not just here, but worldwide. They had to dump the information, because if they didn't dump the information, they were going to get fined by FISA. Okay, now that's a little bit different meaning than the Foreign, Immunity Sovereigns Act. There's other letters, there's other companies that have letters and whatnot out there that match up to some, and it's just like Bureau of Land and Management. You got BLM right there. Well, that's Black Lives Matter. Aren't they kind of infringing on a copyright? But hey, don't let me say anything like that. That might cause a problem.
Don't forget. Yeah, we can't worry about copyright.
Yeah. Well, the other one is, I would probably get in trouble because, of my skin color. Not that I'm like the 15th, bloodline descendant of a very great chief, which I honor that thought process.
Right.
Because, my family didn't come over here they came here because they wanted to be free. They wanted to be free. Okay? They didn't want anybody telling them what they could, what they can't, what they will. No offense, but once you get up tomorrow, kid, you got to shit on the toilet at 7 o'clock in the morning. What?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a time span I got you scheduled for. I'm sorry, that's not the life I'm looking for. If you're of that mentality, I feel sorry for you. I feel some empathy there. But you've got some issues, and I can tell you right now, you're not coming to my house for dinner or lunch or any kind of breakfast. You can just stay where you are.
Bye.
It's sad out here. It really is. I mean, we're fighting for our existence, and
Amelia, what's her name, just came out and said that the Pentagon needs to be defunded.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, if you want to get to defunding and you want to get to, what was it? Oh, reparations. Okay, so let's go down the legal remedy situation, because right there I used it automatically because it is kind of the legal term, which is remedy or relief.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's throw reparations right on in there. Okay. Yeah, you need to hook me up for wasting my time, bring me down here to have to talk this stuff, because I learned it, and you're probably going to laugh at this one, Ed, because seriously, man, Ed and I have danced with the DC crew. This is not people that you got to get to know them to get that introduction for the dance, and you got to know what you're doing. You got to know how to read body language. This isn't the DC crew is a whole different type of situation, a whole different animal. Okay, when it comes to the states, it's like they're children. Okay, when it comes to the feds down there and the people that hang out, you've got entertainers, you've got the entire mixing bowl right there in DC. Okay, so as natives have been, Ed and I have been, literally, if you want to put down to it, it's.
Hey, this is the one thing that a lot of these guys don't get. I mean, I get people telling me this all the time, going, this stuff that we don't. I know. But it's like, if you have to smoke a joint to comprehend it, go have a couple glasses of wine or shot. Trust me, you get your mind open, it'll start sinking in like a sponge.
Well, you got to give yourself time. You got to get yourself time to absorb it. And that's really, when you talk about what you just talked about, I don't care what, aspect that you may need to free up your mind. Okay, as natives, we don't put a real restriction on that. Okay, as you other people, you put restrictions on things. Okay, we comprehend what you're doing, but it's not for us because we're really into our bodies and minds a little bit here. We're not. We've been at this a very long time, and we've always, both from both sides.
I got to jump in here a minute. Because I watch all these people, with their signs up, honk, because, the court's corrupted. Honk, this cop did that. And it's like, how come it really pisses me off? These people won't go learn the law. They won't learn how to file the charges. They won't walk the line with somebody's family member who went through it, who lived through it, that's saying, walk the line with us, so that way you can see it. But these people want to be out there standing and doing nothing. Basically, I'm a ambulance. I'm whining.
Well, you see, that's the idea. That's basically what I was going through. You're dealing with state. State is pretty much simplistic. Okay, you want to dance? Take your butt down to DC sometime. Spend a few years down there like we have, and you'll learn to dance real good.
A couple of weeks down there and just sit in the background and listen.
Yep.
I mean, listen. Listen to when they start laughing. Listen to when they start mocking different people. And they'll do it. They do it right in public.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the point, that people are not comprehending this point. And we're living this. You're living this stuff. We're going through this thing called the coronavirus. All right, everybody's supposed to die. Hello? This is population control. Remember, You know, they made the movie, even when the main movie that, Charlton Heston did. You know, what is that? Oh, we're cannibals, and that's what it is.
Have you seen the recent pictures of the people that are wearing masks and they're getting rashes? And then that's not the only half of it. You know, they're testing you with a radar gun, pointing it at your pineal gland, and it's a known fact that that's radiation. And
what is that doing? You don't know what that radiation beam is doing.
Well, you see, they do. They actually do, because you've been drinking fluoridated water for years, okay? And when they heat that pineal gland up, okay, and it really is, if you really need to get your head wrapped around this, all that pineal gland is a smaller handheld version of what they used to use to get you in a speed rating, trap. It's, in a speed trap. I mean, it really is. And that's all this is. It's basically a speed trap, but they're going to aim it at your head. And it's a known factor. Go take a look at what radiation does to your head, even at low levels. Okay? And they're pointing it right at you. They don't need to point it at the head. It's a proven fact that it can be pointed at the elbow.
Well, don't forget that the cell tower's pointing at you. They got the smart meters pointing at you.
Right. The other one is, if you are wearing a mask, what happens is you start sucking down your own carbon dioxide.
Yep.
And that's known to break down the body. And what it does is it breaks down on the intestinal inside. And then what happens is the blood corpuscles are not being regenerated to get to the skin level of all avenues. So it actually takes the oxygen out of the blood. When that happens, the blood starts to coagulate. Where is it going to attack first? It's going to get around the lungs. Okay? It's going to go straight to the lungs. It's going to go straight to your internal parts. Okay? Seriously, people, wake up, man. The stuff's out here. There's people trying to give you what is truth as compared to what is speculation or theory. I want facts. I don't want your theory. I don't want your speculation. If you can't give me some solid facts, okay, and everybody keeps drawing these nice little pictures of the coronavirus, okay, how come I don't have any film footage? We're in the day and age where you can just pass that right along. So where's the film footage of what's going on? And, you need to get me some. I need to know how many scientists are in this entire world. And then I need a percentage of them to tell me exactly what's kind of going on here. And I get to pick and choose which one.
We need to know in the vaccinations I gave people, because in the vaccinations, they put the virus in the vaccination. So you get it, that's the one thing, like the flu shot. They give you the flu in the vaccination, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, that's okay. I got the flu because I got the flu shot. Well, it doesn't prevent anything.
It's already going on. It's already going on. They're doing these new test trials on something, and nobody knows what it is. But they'll pay you up to $5,000 to go in there and abuse your body.
Yep.
Isn't that nice of them? And let me guess, do I have to sign my name somewhere? Oh, so you're going to go get some of my own credit and give it to me. Well, thank you, but you don't know what you're shooting in my arm. That's okay. Go ahead, put it in my arm.
And that's a good point you brought up. You're going to pay me with my own money.
Well, that's what they're doing.
People,
if you really,
oh, Ed, you're crazy. And I'm like, it's like, haven't you ever read these administrative rules and titles? Well, I don't have time for that in my life. Okay, well, if you don't have time for your life, how come you're calling me crazy and you don't even know what you're talking about?
Well, the other spin on that is that's what we've tried to do, is narrow it down so you can see it and be a little focused on it. Not sure what else we can do for you. To us, we see it focusedly. That's why we remember the things we remember, and we've lived through it. It really is called it's not the smooth paved highway you're used to. It's more of a little bit of a rocky road, so I don't know. Do you need to buy a four-wheeler and get over that rocky road? I'm not really sure, but dealing with this stuff out here, you've got to be quick, mentally. One of the things that people don't comprehend in the lawful situation or in the legal situation, what they call commerce is intercourse. Okay? I'm not sure that I kind of want to have that with you.
Right.
You know, and no offense, I'm a little bit of a different man. I don't know, maybe, you know, I'm not speaking for every man out there, but I think that you have to have some kind of intellectual intercourse with, you know, before you have intercourse, you know, because you kind of got to get into the other person's mind, you know.
That's all. You could go through that, and that could be mind control, mind whatever other word you want to use, but, you know.
Yeah, you got to see where they're. You don't know where they've been. You don't know what they've been going through. So, you know, and it really is right now. You know, it's a fight no matter what. They're still trying to conquer and separate. They're trying to separate by skin color. Okay, we natives got over that years ago. We really wish you would. You know, and if you did notice, I posted one on my Facebook situation, and that was. Ice Cube came out and said he's done the research, and he's like, well, blacks and natives was kind of intermixed back in the day as it was. So, you know, and that's kind of,
when they bring like that, you know. And it's frustrating when they start bringing up these points and they want to talk, but they don't back anything.
No, they've got no facts. They're just trying to keep you separated and your mind twisted so that you're not focused on what's really going on. And what's really going on is we are for the fight of our life, whether you want to, you know, go through the whole governmental side of it or if you want to go from the private side of it. You know, we're really in a fight for our lives. You know, they're acting like a bunch of children out here instead of saying, you know, looky here, we kind of messed up. And, you know, the original, back in 1933, the original Bank Act, like I was saying earlier, it took them less than 16 hours to pass that. They didn't have time to read it. Had they actually done the research, they would have found out that the bankers have been embezzling for years. And that
going back in the Civil War, because when and even go back to the Revolutionary War, where the British were funding both sides with the Germans funding both sides.
Yep. Well, and then you got to go with the other one. Back in those days, when they came to the bank to check on you, you actually had to have the gold and silver reserves in there. And that's kind of what Lincoln was trying to stop. What was going on was they were loading up the wagons and taking to the next bank. The bank really didn't have the money. Okay, boy, does that sound familiar. Kind of like the way it's run now.
Oh, definitely.
So you see, and that's just it. In order for them to create money, if you want to call it that or cash, you know, you can have whatever illusion you want in your head about that.
But let people have that illusion. Money creates money.
Well, you see, that's
the other one. You know, you shake the tree and it falls out.
Well, it's the value you give it. You know, it really is. It says, you know, $1 on it, $5 on it, $10 on it. You know, I've proven that for $186,000 was $180,000 for $186 million in currency to be in play. You know, that's not a whole lot of money from your gifts coming out. So why aren't our debts paid? Okay, because, you know, that's a heck of a markup there. And what did that all pay for? You see, you really got to get your head wrapped around that. You mean tell me you made $185 million point, what? I don't know, some odd thousands of dollars. I mean, let's just round it off at 185. You made $185 million out of $180,000 profit. You know, pay.
But like these politicians find $1 million in the reserves that they didn't know that they had, that saved them from going to jail.
You see, and that's where it gets sticky because of the bond situation. You know, it's just like I posted that on my Facebook also, and other people passed it around. It's actually that, you know, I took a snapshot of my actual numbers from the actual, you know, power electricity bill in my area, which is Shenandoah Valley, you know, co-operation. And, you know, you're supposed to be like an employee for them. Okay, sound familiar? So, you know, if you're an employee for them, why would you treat me the way you're doing right now? I mean, supposedly this whole scare thing's going on. Okay, I'm supposed to be washing my hands and whatnot. You won't even come up and turn on my power, but you got 424 bonds on me. Now, how much are those bonds worth?
Right.
You know, since I signed this with you, and this is the assignment of the number you gave me, but now you're telling me you sold it in bonds, made it into securities to be paid what, at what time, how much, what was the interest? You know, are you going to tell me the truth? Probably not. You know, so, and then seriously, the big corporations, we even have proof of that. Phil Hudock did that years back. You can get it off of hudock.info. You know, you can use whatever search engine you got. I'm pretty sure it'll pop up. But in there, he proves that the judges do not work for this, you know, country. He also proved that, you know, the actual back in those days, and somebody else recently updated that in Friends-in-Law on Facebook, and that was that the, you know, Treasury and the IRS, they just write that off.
Well, the IRS is MIF, and people don't realize that.
Well, you see, and that's where the twist comes in. You know, it's our credit that pays that off. It's our credit. It's not theirs to use.
Because if you're illegal, you have no credit, because in your birth certificate, you don't have a right in this country. You have a privilege.
Exactly. And that's the other one. But
and 14th Amendment, and that goes back to the original treaty of 1770.
Yeah, but don't get me started on the amendments, because they're one digit off. Because the original was taken out, it was replaced by another one, so there really should be like 14 and down. The rest of them are all digit off, so you have to go 15.
Well, the rest of them are all just administrative rules.
Well, that's basically what it is, because it was done under a shadow government setup, you know.
Well, I agree with you. Everything above, I think the 14th Amendment should stay. But I think that should be used as the material point on the circumstances of what the slavery was created by the structure, because there's still slavery.
Well, you see, I agree on many points on that, but the one that gets me is that, you know, once again, that leads back to the reparations situation. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that's what was in the treaties. You were supposed to take care of us, not keep us as indigenous people. Indigenous people makes it, you know, I don't care for the term at all. I don't like, you know, there's sometimes where I just don't like labels. You know, I
call them titles of nobility. A label, I want to make sure that I'm bringing that word of title of nobility into it so people know it, because you do a label, people will, label doesn't mean anything.
Well, you know, it does to some of us out there, other than, you know, we want to, you know, I don't want to be associated with your label if it's not acting right. Okay?
That's true.
I want to be acting with people that are more, you know, of a mindset that I have, and we know you're doing wrong. You know you're doing wrong. Why is it you can't admit it? You want us to come in and admit, but you don't want to admit. Okay?
No, but anyhow, if anybody wants to jump in, you're more than willing to speak up, jump in, and say boo or whatever. So, you know, you know, this whole thing is about teaching education. And so that way, if you got questions and stuff that you might know that we might not know, or you know that we know, or whatever, bring it up. Speak up. You don't have to be bashful. You know, I mean, and the main thing dealing with your child support, knowing the thing is that each state has a bar member that owns the copyright to that state. So once you comprehend that one and you find out that name, now you've got the king of the state. I mean, it's so simple once you got that. So, anyhow, I'll let you go ahead, and we'll go on for a couple more minutes, and then seeing that, you know, we got people there, but nobody wants to speak up. But that's okay. At least we know that people are listening, and they're getting the education, and they can research this, you know, go back and forth on us.
Well, you know,
man.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, from what I've been finding out through my research is that it's all tied to...
Speak up, we can't hear you.
Everything I've been finding out from my research is that all this stuff is tied to a corporation called Moderna, which is giving out this vaccine. And
yeah, and anyway. So are you going to sue them and start the paperwork now? If you don't start the paperwork now and go after the school, you go after these doctors, And if you don't start filing the paperwork now, when the shit hits the fan, that's too late, buddy. That's all.
I thought, no, I'm going to get it started. The thing is that I was going to tell you, I sent you to your email because I noticed that CDC didn't have out the, vaccination exemptions this year. So that means that they're going to probably be trying to give it to the kids anyway because you don't have an exemption. So I went ahead and sent you in the email the template for vaccine exemptions this year. I left it open.
I put it up already, and I put it on the website.
No, this is the template I came up with. I sent it to you.
Oh, okay, this is the one that you wrote, all right, because you know I put one up. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is something that for any state can use it. All you have to do is just fill in the blanks. The top one you put in the state you're at, and you just follow it along. Even put down that whoever gets this and adds it to the records, I put a spot there for them after you get it notarized. Put a spot there for them once the school gets it, that the person who keeps the records can sign it and then give you send you back a copy or something, so that you have it for your records, so that you can say, hey, this person is the one who kept the records. This person acknowledged that they received it. Trying to just cover all the bases with it.
But just out of curiosity, aren't you giving them over to resident agents?
What do you mean?
Okay, so what provisions do you have for yourself if there's damage to your child? Okay, that's one of the things you've got to include in there is the damage to the child, and are they taking full responsibility should you be damaged and not be able to take care of your children, or your children be damaged for the rest of their lives? And I hate to say it, but that might be what they're actually trying to do. They get more money by having these contracts signed, and then, how many witnesses do you have on your paper for one? The notary's nice, but in your clause situation, I hope it states that the notary's only there to say that they reviewed it and there was witnesses there, and you're still retaining your rights. Words with these people are very tricky. They're traders. You got to think about that. Okay, they trade you on the stock market, but they're doing by trader. Okay, they sound the same, but two of them are, basically typically spelled differently. They're traders to this land. They're traders to the people that are here. So you have to hold them. They talk about us having to take responsibility. Well, we're taking that responsibility. That's exactly what we're saying here. We're not trying to fight them. Okay, the basic thing is lay down what your rules are going to be for you and your children. Okay, and that's where people have forgotten things. Those children do not belong to them. You created a trust in order to take care of them. And I would hold them, seriously to their own word. And that's why I mentioned there's a thing called care and maintenance under the divorce decree. Okay, that's another one. Ed and I are kind of there's been a couple people that actually have divorced themselves from the country. There is that thought process of option. We go in many avenues when we think about things, but, it sounds like a great template. It's just, you want to really strongly protect yourself and your friends and family, people you care about. And to do that is to say, here's one of the things they're saying about judges right now in the courtrooms. They do not have to go in front of that radar gun. Okay, so right there, they don't have to have that radar gun pointed at their forehead. They don't even have to have it pointed at their body. But they want you to come in and take this radar gun to your pineal gland. Come on now. And
they're exempt?
Yeah, they're exempt. You're not. So wait a minute. We're not equal anymore? Let me go by your book that is really what all these little things you call laws are, which we all know are more like color of law. Okay?
You say we're all equal, but we're not equal, so what's the point?
Exactly. We're just trying to live our lives the way we see fit. Okay? To stay and keep mentally and physically fit our way. Okay? we don't care how you live yours as long as it's peaceful. All right, but you guys are not being peaceful here. You're dragging us in, dragging and kicking instead of just saying, hey, look, seriously, if they came to you and said the country is broke, we need to borrow your credit, what say you? Are you going to say, yeah, just take the lion's share? I'm cool with that. I'll come out here and I'll slave for you. And you can go on and take this gift I'm giving to you, and that's, you got to look how it works. When you go into a courtroom, okay, I'll give you a slight little one because I went through it. 13 charges. That's supposed to be done at about $2 million a pop. That's on the state level. It goes 10 times more to the federal level. That's $286 million I just gifted to them. And what in the hell did I get out of it? I'm sitting in a single wide trailer with no electricity. They got 424, bonds on me. Okay, and you got to be careful when you're doing this stuff because they will take your signature right off anything you sign these days. All they got to do is scan it. They do not have to put it on paper. They can create their own stuff out of the computer, put your name on it.
When you go into the doctors and they want you to, or any of these groups now, they want you to sign. I won't use their pads. I tell them you got to print it out. And we'll do 3 copies. I need 1 copy for me, I need 1 copy for you, and I need 1 copy to mail to the Secretary of State. And they look at me, and I'll do this in a hospital and stuff. And they look at me going, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you want to do, no, just go ahead. Go ahead. See, that's the point, that people don't get this.
And the other one is when you're using their forms, it's usually under penalty of perjury. What are you perjuring?
That's right. That's why some of these groups tell people, oh, she should write a penalty of perjury in your paperwork. And I'm going, don't be an idiot. Because you just gave them your autograph and said they could put you in jail by what you just said.
Well, and then there's the twist on that. If people don't, they don't comprehend when you're putting bonds up on the security situation on the GMEI or the global marketing, that's really what it is, global marketing entity identifier. They use different things. They think you're a transient utility. When you think about it, okay, you got energy in your body, you're moving forward somewhere, you're doing something. Okay, when you're at work, you're doing a certain energy, to perform the work. And it kind of boils down to that, but what are you getting paid for that energy? They keep taking, but they're not returning anything. Once again, if I have to use, your book work, which, we natives are not fond of because it has a sore spot with us, because it was designed for a peaceful situation, but you came and you were not peaceful. Okay, so please don't preach peace to us. Okay, unless you're willing to listen to us, because we believe.
Well, and honor the treaties, man. They still have to honor their treaties because you're from a foreign country. The treaties were already by your forefathers.
Well, and then there's one in there. Wasn't the Paris-France peace treaty in there? I mean, Isn't there like 5 or 6 peace treaties in there? Come on, how many peace treaties do we have to have? And if you guys want to have a War Powers Act over on one side and a peace treaty on the other, I'm okay with that.
Let's still go to war.
Yeah, I mean, we're there's enough for us. We don't need the rest of the world to help us other than what we have in some kind of trade.
Well, we don't even need the world involved in our own lives. That's the point.
Well, and the other one is because of the destruction of the earth. There was payments that needed to be paid that had not been paid for years.
Mm-hmm.
This really leads back to even like the first, all the wars in the past have cost us something. Okay, and we don't need that cost anymore. We need to be taking care of people. We really do. Yes.
And we need to because they're digging 5 miles, 6 miles down in the earth. And then we wonder why we have problems?
Oh, exactly. You're forcing things ahead of their time instead of leaving it alone. Well, we all know that. That's the whole reason why we're trying to get this kind of figured out for, we are trying to help. We're not trying to hinder them or distract them. We have more important issues to deal with. other than this petty stuff that, you want to railroad us through the state courts. You want to get these gifts from us by using the bonds. Let's just be, if we've got to use the old term, let's let bygones be bygones. You guys want to do your thing, that's fine. I want to do my thing. But at the same time, you kind of took an oath to take care of us. You took an oath to protect us. And instead you're attacking us. And that makes no sense. You see, it doesn't take, really, does it take a brain surgeon here? No. Maybe a little bit of mechanics in your head. I'm not really sure. Because there's years ago, somebody asked me, why did you get into mechanics? And I said, well, I gave my mother the credit because, she got me into jigsaw puzzles. And in reality, an engine's just a gigantic jigsaw puzzle that runs. So it's figuring out the jigsaw puzzle. And that's what we're really doing here. They, even with their own paperwork, they make it confusing, and they do it on purpose.
No, the lawyers do it on purpose for their employees, so this way they can go after their employees, so that way they can charge them, so they can keep their own system going, keeping lawyers going, because remember that you are under a lawyer's control when they register your birth certificate with the state.
Yeah.
So unless you sit there and file your rights, the state still owns you.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, well, you can't file out of it. Oh, I've been fighting him on this shit for 25 years. I've been in the newspapers. I'm still fighting him, and I'm still here.
Well, many people have done it. Glenn out in Texas has had to do it when he came back. He was a military man. God rest his soul, but Carl Miller was the same. He was he's a decorated military man, came back, and he figured the system out, and he said, yeah, I'm just not going to be a part of that, and in one of the side interviews, which I wish they would come back up with, they asked him about that, and he says, well, when you really finally figure it out, you just, it's better to be on your own, do your own thing, than have somebody tell you what you can and cannot do. And, you got to respect that. They're trying to control us every which way. They're saying, oh, now you got to take a vaccine. Really? I'm pretty sure that's not in any treaty I ever saw or read. And I'm pretty sure that's not in your Constitution either. And that's just it. You're going to have to get quick on your feet with this stuff so you can take care of yourself. But even then, comprehend. You're playing with some people that have been doing this for a very long time. They have no problems just, once again, it's a hateful half the thing to really think about. I'm not trying to mess with anybody's head, but, seriously, we're worth more dead than alive to them. And that's not the thought process to have, it really, and then trying to say that everybody needs to be separated, I'll even use the COVID-19 situation right now. If you leveled everything on Florida State right now, took everything off of it, it's just flat land, okay? You could put everybody that lives in this entire world in the state of Florida exactly 6 feet apart. Really? Isn't that like the coronavirus situation? So you're telling me that 700 billion people could fit in just the state of Florida, and we need a reduction in people? Exactly what are you taking? And get out of my face. Take a hike.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. All this stuff has been pre-programmed, pre-set up mind control. I mean, it's like, it's like in the state of Oregon right now. Kate Brown, the terrorism governor, is going out and telling the Oregon State troopers to get out of Portland and don't arrest anybody. The president DA, after they burned people's homes down, destroyed public property, statues, dropped all the charges on them. And I'm trying to explain to the general public is that you and I have to write the criminal complaints and the charges. Because by law, damn it, learn how to read the damn federal Constitution law. If Native Americans do not file the charge, the corporation cannot, and your employees are corporation members, so they can't file these charges.
They're not a flesh and blood human man or woman.
Right, exactly. Or woman, and that's the point. People are not catching this reality. Okay? I mean, I've been through shootings and stuff like that where the cops are there, and I tell the cops, I'm not involved in this. I don't want to hassle. I just want to walk through back to the house or wherever I'm going. I just don't want to be involved. I mean, can you respect that? I'm not going to do anything. And the cops just say, get out of here. Been there, done it. I think,
Yeah, but they got a new spin on it nowadays.
Huh? I didn't hear what you said.
Well, so I said they actually got a new spin on that nowadays because they're going to electronic.
Oh, yeah.
The very first, jury situation was done by televised. Okay?
Yeah, and that's you don't want your televised court cases.
No, you don't. You see, that's the whole point. And you can't see. You're not facing your accuser. Okay? And it seems like they're trying to break that tie because, the state is the accuser. The corporation is the accuser.
That's what they're telling you. You broke our administrative rule. You broke the Bible law. You broke the Bible law, and you did this, that, and the other thing, so now we can punish you. You don't need to go to court because there's no court for you because the Bible is your court.
Well, it's the very first canon. It's what everything's basically based upon.
Well, I know that. That's the problem, that people don't comprehend how this all falls right under that structure. That's like with the 100 million natives that were murdered and slaughtered by the Christians.
Well, you see, and that's the other thing is, you actually made a treaty with us that said you would let us be, and that you would help, and you would, pay a fee of some sort in order to take care of us, and you're not taking care of us. You're really not. And
it's like the black professor now is crying, the poor black cry again, and it's like, dude, you're from Africa. We didn't bring you here. We didn't ask you to come to our country. Go home. You can go home. You don't have to sit here and go by our administrative rules and you have to be 5 more generations and do this stuff. And they're saying that they want to sue the native people for, $146 trillion. The blacks suffered. Yeah. Oh, poor babies. You made us suffer more than the natives have suffered more than anybody else.
Well, that's the other thing is we go back in history, you'll see the mixture of colors, throughout that. They didn't, the natives didn't care, and the natives in reality were actually, if you look it up, and it's really sad, but if you look it up, it actually says they were written in the books as blacks, and that's where it gets a little bit strange because later on blacks were given the vote, but in reality you had to have 5 people to get 3 votes, but you still got to vote. The actual native tribes didn't get their vote until 1974, and it's not a comparison of apples and oranges here. It's a comparison of, equality. Everybody screams equality right now, and where exactly is that equality? We're not getting it in the courtrooms. They're not listening to us. They're refusing to listen to us. Which in reality you shouldn't have to put paperwork in. It's supposed to be on record. When you walk in there the very first time, it's supposed to be on record.
And they shouldn't be throwing a warrant on your lap that you just got kidnapped and thrown in what they call a cell. And what gets to me that these cells are the same cells basically that they were dungeons going back in the 12th century, and it hasn't changed because you're lucky you get a foam mattress. Back then you got a hay mattress. That was it. You had your toilet bucket and your water. That was it. Same thing. And you didn't have open windows. You didn't have ventilation. And, and then years ago they took all the TVs out, so.
Yep.
They're doing that. It's called mind control. Make your mind go nuts.
Yeah, because it's kind of sad because it's still your credit that's paying for you when you're inside that cell.
Yeah.
You ought to have some kind of luxuries. You're in there, so it's not really convenient for you to go anywhere. You know, I don't know your circumstances. I just know mine and what I've been through. And that is, you know, they went against all their own rules. You know, it's like they want us to use this side of their legality rules, and then the lawful rules over here kind of out the door. You know, no, they're not. You can't take the front face off of the coin and separate it from the back face. And if you do, let me know. I'd love to see how that's done. You know, there's two sides to every...
I became the DA of Multnomah County, but the new DA says that he's not filing any criminal charges on anybody who does any destruction to people's property.
Well, you know, that's basically what they're saying is they're, you know, declaring war. You see, that's what they're really trying to do. They're trying to cause a war here. Okay? We don't want your war.
Oh, now they're saying, oh, these crimes, interfering with a police officer patrol, that's bullshit. Disorderly conduct and all this, these crimes included, interfering with a police officer, they tried to do that and they tried to murder me over it. There's no goddamn law over that. I can interfere with a cop's job any time, and I've done that, and they don't like it because they know I know the law.
Oh, now there's a reason the law.
They can throw your ass in jail, and they're going to probably execute you.
I got to bust your chops, man. You used the wrong interpretation.
Oh, what did I do?
Okay, repeat what you just said, man. You said something about, you know, hanging out with them there, and you got to change the word around. I caught that first word wrong. It was like, you know, that's kind of a link up to them. You know, you got to change that around. You're your own person, okay?
No, I know. Right, no, you're no person.
You have the right to. Okay, you have the right to verbally interact.
That's right.
Okay, your I word was not interact, and that's what I had to bust your chops.
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. You got that one thing, and I like it, and I appreciate the correction.
You know, it's one of those things where you're interacting with them. You're not disturbing them. You're wanting to know what the situation is and how can you help. Okay?
Yeah, good point. Their job is to assist them in any emergency, and if there's no emergency, they can't act the way they're acting.
See, that's what's been going on. We become confrontational, and we got to start thinking on our feet. Okay, and the easiest one is to respond to them. I'm sorry, I was just interacting to find out what the trouble was, if there was any assistance needed. Now, that leaves it open. Okay, who are you assisting there? You see what I'm saying? You haven't committed yourself to either side. You're there for assistance. Okay? And then you can decipher, because you yourself, when there's a conflict, have the right to interact in a peaceful manner to complete the mission of keeping peace. Okay, so this whole interaction thing, you know, people have been going around the wrong way. You're getting confrontational, and that's exactly what they want. They want you confrontational. They want you off your game. Okay, if you're polite, okay, how can I assist you? You know, even if they pull you over, that should be your first, you know, as far as I'm concerned, your first words out of your mouth. How can I assist you? Is there some problem? Do you need help? You know, because, no offense, most people that have to carry a gun on a daily basis are in a different mindset than the rest of us. Okay? Of course, they have been a little programmed with that. You know, they're living in a fierce situation. Most of them have been in the military, so they've been in extreme fear situations. Okay, and you know, I can give you, you know, absolute testimony by talking to a few friends. You know, when you're in a ghillie suit, you got a rifle on somebody for 2 weeks, and you can't even get up to go to the bathroom or possibly eat. Okay, that's the military mindset. Okay, and most of these people are hired from the military. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that they're under a different mindset. So you have to get on an even keel with their mindset.
Learn how they were educated and what they went through.
You know, and maybe that's all they need that day. Maybe they actually need somebody to say, hey, man, are you all right? You know, I'm all right. What was the deal? And then you can really negotiate your own contract right then and there. My apologies, but I don't feel like contracting today. You know?
I've been through that one myself.
I had a friend of mine, and I thought this was a rather good one. He kind of went in. We both like the comedian Jeff Dunham because of his, ventriloquism.
Oh yeah.
And he tries to make light of things. He doesn't. He's trying to make people happy. That's really kind of all we want to see is happiness. Also, there's no happiness out here. So, and it's a shame. That's what we were supposed to have. We're supposed to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You cannot tell me this is the pursuit of happiness if I've got to come in.
You can't tell me there's a God. Then why, if there's God, why are we living in a living hell?
Well, the old statement is war is hell. Okay, and they got the war on this. They got the war on poverty. They got the war on, the War Powers Act.
The war, so that way they can sit there and fund us. That's their taxation, is by calling it a war.
Well, and then, like I said, if you go on to GMEI, you have my power company bill. You can type in your phone number. Believe it or not, I typed in several phone numbers with both dashes in it, and it tells you exactly how many bonds are on it. Talked to one person one night. There was over 45, 53 on their home, their home phone number. I didn't actually ask how many years they had it, but at the same time, that's kind of a lock-in. Say you buy a house for 30, you've got a mortgage situation for 30 years, which, there's a book on that I've got to send to Ed, and it's really the fraud of the banks, because the minute you sign any contract, they turn it in to get your, Social Security number to go to the Treasury, get the money out of the Treasury, put it up on the DTCC. They financially insure it behind with Fidelity Investments, okay, and then it goes up for sale. The one I want to know is how much did you sell each bond for into each individual? The other one on the GMEI is if you actually click on the 20-digit number at the beginning, it'll tell you exactly what country they're in, what their address is, or P.O. box. Okay?
Well, and that's abandonment property. It's like when they steal your house and sell it for property tax, same deal. So where was my taxes? Where's my cut coming back to me on it?
Exactly. I can add and subtract, and with all these great gadgets we have nowadays, pretty sure I can get it done pretty quick. I'm not sure about your adding and subtracting. Are you? What are you using? A pen and a pencil, a piece of paper?
Yeah, usually.
So
makes logical sense. I mean, I try to stay away from the computer because I need to still keep my mind working.
Well, there can be interaction, when it comes to that, and keep your mind going too. It's just a matter of where you go. There's a lot of stuff like Friends-in-Law has a lot of information out there. They seem to, band together and they're trying to help people. We're all kind of trying to help each other. That's really what the design was in the first place. They're trying to take that away. They want to separate us. It's back to divide and conquer. And I'm sorry, I'm not here to be divided. I'm not your divisional type of person.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more of a people kind of guy.
I get you on that one.
A little legal twist on that.
So, anyhow, anybody else like to add anything? Okay, well, we're going to call it an evening, seeing that we've been going on for basically 2 hours, and we appreciate everybody's attention. Hopefully you pick up something like this. Send the email still. I'll still get information out to you. I'll still get information out this week. And like I said, I want you to look at tenant laws, because like with our water bills in Oregon now, let me explain what the truth is. They're putting tenant on your bills, tax bills, your property bills, your bills for your water, your electricity bills. They're putting the word tenant on it now. So they own you. You better wake up to this reality. This is not bullshit. If you don't wake up to this reality, I pity your bloodline. Because now what they're doing is they're claiming you as property, and they're claiming it as abandoned. And they're claiming you as an abandoned child. And that goes under the Abandoned Child Act. So, I mean, all this stuff is real. You know, it's like the Hanford's been leaking with that, and they keep pushing in for more nuclear plants. We don't want nuclear plants. You know, and these guys don't care. You got to remember, these corporations don't love you. They don't care for you. And then also, too, you can always look up whether the COVID virus reports. You're going to love this one. Becker's Hospital CFO report. And I'll put that one up, and this is what I'm saying. You go in, this goes where the public funding went to. This is the state breakdown of federal aid per individual for each case in your state. See, this stuff was already set up, so that way now they're putting it that, you know, if you get this stuff on your tenant bill, you know, and they start calling you a tenant, or they're acting, you know, telling them to change your words, you better pick up on that real quick and straighten that one up immediately. Because if not, you know, silence is deadly. So, anyhow, with that one, we'd like to say goodnight to you. Peace, and may the Creator bless you. May the Mother provide for you, and Father bring you happiness with, you know, without Father and Mother, we don't have life. So with that, we appreciate you joining us, and read your native treaties, read your Constitution, and actually read the administrative laws and comprehend statute code and administrative rules versus your native treaties and Constitution law. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to Disclaimers by Ed Johnston. It is Saturday, August 15th, 2020. And remember, statutes and codes are not laws. If you look at the beginning of the show, there's a scrolling instrument that goes up in the video, and it shows multiple cases. Even the Supreme Court has warned, because of what appears to be lawful, commands, statutory rules, regulation, codes, and ordinances, and restrictions. On the surface, many citizens, because of their respect for what appears to be law, are cunningly coerced into waiving their rights due to ignorance. Basically saying statutes and codes are not laws to the lawful bloodline. Look at that, watch it, learn it, and remember, this is a republic, not a democracy. See you next week whenever Ed's got IVs and everything